Shri Gita class. Starting. We're gonna start on page 1. Page 1. Okay, introduction prayers on page 1.
Shavakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Vilamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shra Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatha Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Palam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrikavanustute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasani Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 1, text 13 through 24.
What page?
It's on page 44.
You gave me the wrong page.
No, 44.
40.
You're on page 44?
35.
35?
Page 35?
44.
44. Yeah, thank you so much.
Let me know when you're there. Okay. Chapter 1, text 13. Tata shankascha viryascha panavana kagomukha sahasaiva vyayahayanta sashabdastu mudobhava.
I think we did this one. Did we?
Yeah, I think so. I think we went to 24 last time.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to start on chapter 1, text 25 today.
Yeah, it's 25? Yeah.
25, yeah.
You realize we already went through that one. Okay.
Bhishma Drona Pramukhatta Sarvesham Cha Mahishita Uvacha Partha Pashyaitam Samavetam Kuruniti. Translation. In the presence of Bhishma, Drona, and all the chieftains of the world, Rishikesh, the Lord, said, just behold, Partha, all the Kurus who are assembled here. Text 26. Tatra pashyat sthitam Partha pitrin atha pitamahan acharyam nakulan partrin putran potran sakhin stitha shvashuran suhridaschaiva senayorubhayorapi. Translation. There Arjuna could see within the midst of the armies of both parties his fathers, grandfathers, teachers, maternal uncles, brothers, sons, grandsons, friends, and also his father-in-law and well-wishers, all present there. Text 27. Tan samikshya sakunteya sarvan bandhun upastitan kripaya paryavishto vishidin anidamabravit. Translation. When the son of Kunti, Arjuna, saw all these different breeds of friends and relatives, he became overwhelmed with compassion and spoke thus. Text 28. Arjuna uvacha yustvemam swajanam Krishna yuyutsum samupashtitam siddhanti mamagratrani mukham cha parishushiti. Translation. Arjuna said, my dear Krishna, seeing my friends and relatives present before me in such a fighting spirit, I feel the limbs of my body quivering and my mouth drying up. Text 29. Vipatuscha sharire me roma harshascha jayate Gandivam Shamsate Astat Tvakchaiva Paritahite. Translation. My whole body is trembling, and my hair is standing on end. My bow Gandiva is slipping from my hand, and my skin is burning. Text 30. Nacha Shaknom Yavastatum Brahmativa Chamemana Nimitani Chapashami Viparitani Keshava. Translation. I am not able to stand here any longer. I am forgetting myself, and my mind is reeling. I foresee only evil, O killer of the Keshi demon. Text 31. Nachashreya Pashyami Hatva Swajanamahave Nakamshe Vijayam Krishna Nacharajam Sukhanicha. Translation. I do not see how any good can come from killing my own kinsmen in this battle, nor can I, my dear Krishna, desire any subsequent victory, kingdom, or happiness. Text 32 through 35. Kim Narajena Govinda, Kim Bogai Jivitena Va, Yesham Arte Kangshitam Nurajam Bogasukanicha, Taime Vastita Yudhe Pranasta Pwadhananicha, Acharya Pitara Putras Tataiva Chapitamaha, Matula Shvashuda Putra Shyala Sambandinastata, Etana Pamichami Nanto Di Madhusudana Abhita Lokirajasya Heto Kinnu Mahikrite Nihatya Tatarashtrana Kapiti Syashchanardana. Translation. O Govinda, of what avail to us our kingdoms, happiness, or even life itself, when all those for whom we may desire them are now arrayed in this battlefield? O Madhusudana, when teachers, fathers, sons, grandfathers, maternal uncles, fathers-in-law, grandsons, brothers-in-law, and all relatives are ready to give up their lives and properties and are standing before me, then why should I wish to kill them, though I may survive? O maintainer of all creatures, I am not prepared to fight with them, even in exchange for the three worlds, let alone this earth. Last text for the night, text 36. Papam evashriyed asman hatvaitan attayinah tasman narha vayam antum tatarastam svabhavana svabhantavan svajanam hi katam hatva sukhinasyama madhava. Translation. Sin will overcome us if we slay such aggressors. Therefore, it is not proper for us to kill sons of Dhritarashtra and our friends. What should we gain, O Krishna, husband of the goddess of fortune? And how can we be happy by killing our own kinsmen? Turning to text 13 of chapter 1. Text 25. Text 25 of chapter 1. Thank you. Text 25. In the presence of Bhishma, Drona, and all the chieftains of the world, Rishikesh, the Lord, said, just behold, Partha, all the Kurus who are assembled here. As the supersoul of all living entities, Lord Krishna can understand what is going on in the mind of Arjuna. The use of the word Rishikesha in this connection indicates that he knew everything, and the word Partha, the son of Kunti, or Pritha, is also similarly significant in reference to Arjuna. As a friend, he wanted to inform Arjuna that because Arjuna was the son of Pritha, the sister of his own father, Vasudeva, he had agreed to be the charioteer of Arjuna. Now, what did Krishna mean when he told Arjuna to be behold the Gurus. Did Arjuna want to stop there and not fight? Krishna never expected such things from the son of his aunt Pritha. The mind of Arjuna was thus predicated by the Lord in friendly joking. Text 26, translation. There Arjuna could see within the midst of the armies of both parties, his fathers, grandfathers, teachers, maternal uncles, brothers, sons, grandsons, friends, and also his father-in-law and well-wishers, all present there. Purport. On the battlefield, Arjuna could see all kinds of relatives. He could see persons like Purishrava, who were his father's contemporaries, grandfathers Bhishma and Somadatta, teachers like Dronacharya and Kripacharya, maternal uncles like Shalya and Shakuni, brothers like Duryodhana, sons like Lakshmana, friends like Ashwatthama, and well-wishers like Kritavarma, etc. He could see also the armies which contained many of his friends. Text 27, translation. When the son of Kunti, Arjuna, saw all these different grades of friends and relatives, he became overwhelmed with compassion and spoke thus. Text 28, translation. Arjuna said, "My dear Krishna, seeing my friends and relatives present before me in such a fighting spirit, my body quivering and my mouth drying up." Purport. Any man who has genuine devotion to the Lord has all the good qualities which are found in godly persons or in the demigods, whereas the non-devotee, however advanced he may be in material qualifications, by education and culture, lacks in godly qualities. As such, Arjuna, just after seeing his kinsmen, friends, and relatives on the battlefield, was at once overwhelmed by compassion for them, who had so decided to fight amongst themselves. As far as his soldiers were concerned, he was sympathetic from the beginning, but he felt compassion even for the soldiers of the opposite party, foreseeing their imminent death. And so thinking, the limbs of his body began to quiver, and his mouth became dry. He was more or less astonished to see their fighting spirit. Practically the whole community, all blood relatives of Arjuna, had come to fight with him. This overwhelmed a kind devotee like Arjuna. Although it is not mentioned here, still, one can easily imagine that not only were Arjuna's bodily limbs quivering and his mouth drying up, but that he was also crying out of compassion. Such symptoms in Arjuna were not due to weakness, but to his soft-heartedness, a characteristic of a pure devotee of the Lord. It is said, therefore, yes, Yasyasti bhakti bhagavati kinchana sarva gunastatya samasate kulaha parabhaktasya kuto mahatmana manorahena sati bhavato vahi. One who has unflinching devotion for the personality of Godhead has all the good qualities of the demigods. The one who is not a devotee of the Lord has only material qualifications that are of little value. This is because he is hovering on the material plane and is certain to be attracted by the glaring material energy. Srimad Bhagavatam 5:18-12. Text 29. Translation. My whole body is trembling and my hair is standing on end. My bow, Gandiva, is slipping from my hand and my skin is burning. Purport. There are two kinds of trembling of the body and two kinds of standing of the hair on end. Such phenomena occur either in great spiritual ecstasy or out of great fear under material conditions. There is no fear in transcendental realization. Arjuna's symptoms in this situation are out of material fear, namely, loss of life. This is evident from other symptoms also. He became so impatient that his famous bow, Gandiva, was slipping from his hands, and, because his heart was burning within him, he was feeling a burning sensation of the skin. All these are due to a material conception of life. Text 30. Translation. I am now unable to stand here any longer. I am forgetting myself. My mind is reeling. I foresee only evil, O killer of the Acacia human. Report. Due to his impatience, Arjuna was unable to stay on the battlefield, and he was forgetting himself on account of the weakness of his mind. Excessive attachment for material things puts a man in a bewildering condition of existence. Vayam vidya biniveshita. Such fearfulness and loss of mental equilibrium take place in persons who are too affected by material conditions. Arjuna envisioned only unhappiness in the battlefield. He would not be happy even by gaining victory over the foe. The word nimitta is significant. When a man sees only frustration in his expectations, he thinks, why am I here? Everyone is frustrated. Everyone is interested in himself and his own welfare. No one is interested in the Supreme Self. Arjuna is supposed to show disregard for self-interest by submission to the will of Krishna, who is everyone's real self-interest. The conditioned soul forgets this, and therefore suffers material pains. Arjuna thought that this victory in the battle would only be a cause of lamentation for him. Text 31. Translation. I do not see how any good can come from killing my own kinsmen in this battle, nor can I, my dear Krishna, desire any subsequent victory, kingdom, or happiness. Report. Without knowing that one's self-interest is religion or Krishna, conditioned souls are attracted by bodily relationships, hoping to be happy in such situations. Under delusion, they forget that Krishna is also the cause of material happiness. Arjuna appears to have even forgotten the moral codes for a Kshatriya. It is said that two kinds of men, namely the Kshatriya who dies directly in front of the battlefield under Krishna's personal orders, and the person in the renounced order of life who is absolutely devoted to spiritual culture, are eligible to enter into the sun glow, which is so powerful and dazzling. Arjuna is reluctant even to kill his enemies, let alone his relatives. He thought that by killing his kinsmen, there would be no happiness in his life, and therefore he was not willing to fight, just as a person who does not feel hungry is not inclined to cook. He has now decided to go into the forest and live a secluded life of frustration. But as a Kshatriya, he requires a kingdom for his subsistence. Because the Kshatriyas cannot engage themselves in any other occupation. But Arjuna has had no kingdom. Arjuna's sole opportunity for gaining a kingdom lay in fighting with his cousins and brothers and reclaiming the kingdom inherited from his father, which he does not like to do. Therefore, he considers himself fit to go to the forest to live a secluded life of frustration. Text 32 to 35. O Govinda, of what avail to us are kingdoms, happiness, or even life itself, when all those for whom we may, or even life itself, when all those for whom we may desire them are now arrayed in this battlefield? O Madhusudana, when teachers, fathers, sons, grandfathers, maternal uncles, fathers-in-law, grandsons, brothers-in-law, and all relatives are ready to give up their lives and properties and are standing before me, then why should I wish to kill them? When I may survive. O maintainer of all creatures, I am not prepared to fight with them, even in exchange for the three worlds, let alone this earth. Report. Arjuna has addressed Lord Krishna as Govinda. Because Krishna is the object of all pleasures for cows and the senses. By using this significant word, Arjuna indicates that what will satisfy his senses. Although Govinda is not meant for satisfying our senses, if we try to satisfy the senses of Govinda, then automatically our own senses are satisfied. Materially, everyone wants to satisfy his senses, and he wants God to be the order supplier for such satisfaction. The Lord will satisfy the senses of the living entities as much as they deserve, but not to the extent that they may covet. But when one takes the opposite way, namely, when one tries to satisfy the senses of Govinda without desiring to satisfy one's own senses, then by the grace of Govinda, All desires of the living entity are satisfied. Arjuna's deep affection for community and family members is exhibited here partly due to his natural compassion for them. He is therefore not prepared to fight. Everyone wants to show his opulence to his friends and relatives, but Arjuna fears that all his relatives and friends will be killed in the battlefield, and he will be unable to share his opulence after victory. This is a typical calculation of material life. The transcendental life is, however, different. Since the devotee wants to satisfy the desires of the Lord, he can, Lord willing, accept all kinds of opulence for the service of the Lord. And if the Lord is not willing, he should not accept a farthing. Arjuna did not want to kill his relatives, and if there were any need to kill them, he desired that Krishna kill them personally. At this point, he did not know that Krishna had already killed them before their coming into the battlefield, and this was only to become and that he was only to become an instrument of Krishna. This fact is disclosed in the following chapters. As a natural devotee of the Lord, Arjuna did not like to retaliate against his miscreant cousins and brothers, but it was the Lord's plan that they should all be killed. The devotee of the Lord does not retaliate against the wrongdoer, but the Lord does not tolerate any mischief done to the devotee by the miscreants. The Lord can excuse a person on his own account, but he excuses no one who has done harm to his devotees. Therefore, the Lord was determined to kill the miscreants, although Arjuna wanted to excuse them. Text 36. Sin will overcome us if we slay such aggressors. Therefore, it is not proper for us to kill the sons of the Dhritarashtra and our friends. What should we gain? Krishna, husband of the goddess of fortune. And how can we be happy by killing our own kinsmen? Purport. According to Vedic conjunctions, there are 6 kinds of aggressors. 1, poison giver. 2, one who sets fire to the house. 3, one who attacks with deadly weapons. 4, one who plunders riches. 5, one who occupies another's land. And 6, one who kidnaps a land. Such aggressors are at once to be killed, and no sin is incurred by killing such aggressors. Such killing of aggressors is quite befitting for an ordinary man. But Arjuna was not an ordinary person. He was something by character, and therefore, he wanted to deal with them in saintliness. This kind of saintliness, however, is not for a Kshatriya. Although a responsible man in the administration of a state is required to be saintly, he should not be cowardly. For example, Lord Ram was so saintly that people were anxious to live in his kingdom, Ram Rajya. But Lord Ram never showed any cowardice. Ravana was an aggressor against Rama because he kidnapped Rama's wife, Sita. But Lord Rama gave him sufficient lessons, unparalleled in the history of the world. In Arjuna's case, however, one should consider the special type of aggressors, namely his own grandfather, own teacher, friends, sons, grandsons, etc. Because of them, Arjuna thought that he should not take the severe steps necessary against ordinary aggressors. Besides that, saintly persons are advised to forgive. Such injunctions for saintly persons are more important than any political emergency. Arjuna considered that rather than kill his own kinsmen for political reasons, it would be better to forgive them on grounds of religion and saintly behavior. He did not, therefore, consider such killing profitable, simply for the matter of temporary bodily happiness. After all, kingdoms and pleasures derived therefrom are not permanent, so why should he risk his life and eternal salvation by killing his own kinsmen? Arjuna's addressing of Krishna as Mahatma, or the husband of the goddess of fortune, is also significant in this connection. He wanted to point out to Krishna that, as husband of the goddess of fortune, he should not have to induce Arjuna to take up a matter which would ultimately bring about misfortune. Krishna, however, never brings misfortune to anyone, saying nothing of his devotees. Text 37 and 38. O Janardana, although these men, Overtaken by greed, see no fault in killing one's family or quarreling with friends. Why should we, with knowledge of this sin, engage in these acts? Purport. A Kshatriya is not supposed to refuse to battle or gamble when he is so invited by some rival party. Under such obligation, Arjuna could not refuse to fight because he was challenged by the party of Duryodhana. In this connection, Arjuna considered that the other party might be blind to the effects of such a challenge. Arjuna, however, could see the evil consequences and could not accept the challenge. Obligation is actually binding when the effect is good. When the effect is otherwise, then no one can be bound. Considering all these pros and cons, Arjuna decided not to fight. Text 39. With the destruction of dynasty, the eternal family tradition is vanquished, and thus the rest of the family becomes involved in religious practice. Purport. In the system of the Varnashram institution, there are many principles of religious traditions to help members of the family grow properly and attain spiritual values. The elder members are responsible for such purifying processes in the family, beginning from birth to death. But on the death of the elder members, such family traditions of purification be stopped, and the remaining younger family members may develop religious habits and thereby lose their chance for spiritual salvation. Therefore, for no purpose should the elder members of the family be slain. Text 40. When irreligion is prominent in the family of Krishna, the women of the family become corrupt. From the degradation of womanhood, the son of Krishna comes unwanted progeny. Report. Good population in human society is the basic principle for peace, prosperity, and spiritual progress in life. Varnashram religious principles were so designed that good population will prevail in society for the general spiritual progress of state and community. Such population depends on the chastity and faithfulness of its womanhood. As children are very prone to be misled, women are similarly very prone to degradation. Therefore, both children and women require protection by the elder members of the family. By being engaged in various religious practices, women will not be misled into adultery. According to Chanakya Pandit, women are generally not very intelligent, therefore not trustworthy. So, the different family traditions of religious activities should always engage them, unless their chastity and devotion give birth to a good population, eligible for participating in the Varnashram system. On the failure of such Varnashram dharma, naturally, the women become free to act and mix with men, and thus adultery is indulged at the risk of unwanted population. Irresponsible men also provoke adultery in society, and thus unwanted children flood the human race at the risk of war and pestilence. Text 41. When there is an increase of unwanted population, a hellish situation is created, both for the family and for those who destroy the family tradition. In such corrupt families, there is no offering of oblations of food and water to the ancestors. Purport. According to the rules and regulations of food activities, there is a need to offer periodical food and water to the forefathers of the family. This offering is performed by worship of Vishnu. Because eating the remnants of food offered to Vishnu can deliver one from all kinds of sinful actions. Sometimes the forefathers may be suffering from various types of sinful reactions, and sometimes some of them cannot even acquire a gross material body and are forced to remain in subtle bodies as ghosts. Thus, when remnants of persona food are offered to forefathers by descendants, the forefathers are released from ghostly or other kinds of miserable life. Such help rendered to forefathers of the family tradition, and those who are not in the devotional life are required to perform such rituals. One who is engaged in the devotional life is not required to perform such actions. Simply by performing devotional service, one can deliver hundreds and thousands of forefathers from all kinds of misery. It is stated in the Bhagavatam Devarshibhuta Purnam Krina Nakim Karunaya Mini Charajan Sarvatmaya Sharanam Sharanya Yato Mukundam Parihritya Kartan. Anyone who has taken shelter of the lotus feet of Mukunda, giver of liberation, giving up all kinds of obligation, and has taken to the path in all seriousness, owes neither duties or obligations to the demigods, sages, general living entities, family members, humankind, or forefathers. Srimad Bhagavatam 11:5-41. Such obligations are automatically fulfilled by performance of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 42. Due to the evil deeds of the destroyers of family tradition, all kinds of community projects and family welfare activities are devastated. Report. Four orders of human society, combined with family welfare activities, as they are set forth by the institution of the Sanatana Dharma or Varnashram Dharma, are designed to enable the human being to attain his ultimate salvation. Therefore, the breaking of the Sanatana Dharma tradition by irresponsible leaders of society bring about chaos in society. Consequently, people forget the aim of life, Krishna. Such leaders are called blind. Persons who follow such leaders are sure to be led into chaos. 640. O Krishna, maintainer of the people, I have heard by succession those who destroy family traditions will always in hell. Report. Arjuna bases his argument not on his own personal experience, but on what he has heard from the authorities. That is the way of receiving real knowledge. One cannot reach the real point of factual knowledge without being helped by the right person who is already established in that knowledge. There is a system in the Varnashram institution by which one has to undergo the process of evolution before death for his sinful activities. One who is always engaged in sinful activities must utilize the process of evolution called Prayashchitta. Without doing so, one surely will be transferred to hellish planets to undergo miserable lives as a result of sinful activities. Text 44. Alas, how strange it is that we are preparing to commit greatly sinful acts, driven by the desire to enjoy royal happiness. Report. Driven by selfish motives, one may be inclined to such sinful acts as the killing of one's own brother, father, or mother. There are many such instances in the history of the world, but Arjuna, being a saintly devotee of the Lord, is always conscious of moral principles and therefore takes care to avoid such activities. Text 45. I would consider it better for the sons of Dhritarashtra to kill me unarmed and unresisting, rather than fight with them. 4. It is the custom, according to Kshatriya fighting principles, that an unarmed and unwilling foe should not be attacked. Arjuna, however, in such an enigmatic position, decided he would not fight if he were attacked by the enemy. He did not consider how much the other party was bent upon fighting. All these symptoms are due to self-hardness resulting from his being a great devotee of the Lord. Text 46. Sanjaya said, Arjuna, having thus spoken on the battlefield, cast aside his bows and arrows, and sat down in the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief. Report. While observing the situation of his enemy, Arjuna stood up on the chariot. He was so afflicted with lamentation that he sat down again, setting aside his bow and arrows. Such a kind, self-fearing person in the devotional service of the Lord is fit to receive self-knowledge. Chapter 2. How to Gita summarized. Text 1. Sanjaya said, seeing Arjuna full of compassion and very sorrowful, his eyes burning with tears, Madhusudana, Krishna, spoke the following words. Report. Material compassion, lamentation, tears are all signs of ignorance of the real self. Passion, the eternal soul of self-realization. The word of the Sugana is significant in this verse. Lord Krishna killed the demon Mother, and now Arjuna wanted Krishna to kill the demon of misunderstanding that had overtaken him and discharge his duty. No one knows where compassion should be applied. Compassion for the dress of a drowning man said to a man falling in the ocean of nations cannot be saved simply by rescuing his outward dress. It goes into the mind. One who does not know this and laments for the outward dress is called a Shudra, or one who laments unnecessarily. Arjuna was a Kshatriya, and this conduct was not expected from him. Lord Krishna, however, in this spiteful lamentation of the ignorant man, and for this purpose, Bhagavad Gita was sung by him. This chapter instructs us in self-realization by an analytical study of the material body and spirit soul, as explained by the Supreme Authority, Lord Shri Krishna. This realization is made possible by working with the fruit of being situated in the fixed conception of the real self. Text 2. Supreme Person, Bhagavan, said, my dear Arjuna, how these impurities come upon you? They are not at all befitting a man who knows the progressive values of thought. They do not lead to higher planets, but to infinite. Krishna and the Supreme Personality of God are identical. Therefore, Lord Krishna is referred to as Bhagavan about the Gita. Bhagavan is the ultimate and the absolute truth. Absolute truth is realized in three phases of understanding, namely, Brahman, of the impersonal, all-pervasive spirit, the Mahatma, of the localized aspect of the Supreme, within the heart of all living entities, and Bhagavan, of the Supreme Personality of God, Lord Krishna. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, this conception of the absolute truth is explained thus. Parantita tattvavedas tattvam yajnanam vayam ameti paramameti bhagavaniti shanjate. The absolute truth is realized in three phases of understanding by the knower of the absolute truth. All of them are identical. Such phases of the absolute truth are expressed as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Srimad Bhagavatam 1, 2, 11. These three divine aspects will be explained by the example of the sun, which also has three different aspects, namely the sunshine, the sun's surface, and the sun planet itself. One who studies the sunshine only is the preliminary student. One who understands the sun's surface is further advanced, and one who can enter into the sun planet is the highest. Ordinary students who are satisfied by simply understanding the sunshine, its universal pervasiveness, and the glaring affluence of its impersonal nature, may be compared to those who can realize only the Brahman feature of the absolute truth. The student who has advanced still further can know the sun is, which is compared to the Paramatma feature of the absolute truth. And the student who can enter into the heart of the sun planet is compared to those who realize the personal features of the supreme absolute truth. Therefore, the bhaktas, or the transcendentalists, who have realized the Bhagavan feature of the absolute truth, are the top-notch transcendentalists. Although all students who are engaged in studying the absolute truth are engaged in the same subject matter. The sunshine, the sun disk, and the inner affairs of the sun planet cannot be separated from one another. And yet the students of the three different phases are not in the same category. The Sanskrit word Bhagavan is explained by the great authority, Parashara, the father of Vyasdevi. The Supreme Personality possesses all riches, all strength, all fame, all beauty, all knowledge, and all renunciation is called Bhagavan. There are many persons who are very rich, very powerful, very beautiful, very famous, very learned, very much detached. But no one can claim that he possesses all riches, all strength, etc. Sorry. Only Krishna can claim this because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No living entity, including Brahma, or Shiva, or Narayan, possess opulences as fully as Krishna. Therefore, it is concluded in the Brahma Samhita by Lord Brahma himself that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No one is equal to him. No one is equal to or above him. He is the primeval Lord, or Bhagavan, known as Govinda, and he is the supreme cause of all causes. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Nadiradi Govinda Sarvapani. There are many personalities possessing the qualities of Bhagavan, but Krishna is supreme because none can excel him. He is the supreme person, and his body is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. He is the primeval Lord, Govinda, and the cause of all causes. From Samhita 5:1. In the Bhagavatam also, there is a list of many incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But Krishna is described as the original personality of Godhead, from whom many incarnations the personalities of Godhead expand. Ete Shankshata Kalapumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrani Yapuram Mokam Yanti Yuge Yuge. Translation. All the lists of the incarnations of Godhead submitted herewith are either plenary expansions or parts of the plenary expansions of the Supreme Godhead. But Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. Srimad Bhagavatam 1:3-28. Therefore, Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, the absolute truth, the source of both the Supersoul and the impersonal Brahman. In the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Arjuna's lamentation for his kingdom is certainly unbecoming. And therefore, Krishna expressed his surprise with the word Kutas, wherefrom. Such unmanly sentiments were never expected from a person belonging to the civilized class of men, known as Aryans. The word Aryan is applicable to persons who know the value of life and have a civilization based on spiritual realization. Persons who are led by the material conception of life do not know that the aim of life is the realization of the absolute truth, Vishnu, or Bhagavan, and they are captivated by the external features of the material world, and therefore they do not know what liberation is. Persons who have no knowledge of liberation with material minds are called non-Aryans. Although Arjuna was a Kshatriya, he was deviating from his prescribed duties by declining to fight. This act of cowardice is described as befitting the non-Aryans. Such deviation from duty does not help one in the progress of spiritual life, nor does it even give one the opportunity to become famous in this one. Lord Krishna did not approve of the so-called compassion of Arjuna for his kingdom.
Very nice. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Bhagavad Gita ki jai.